first time this season I have a chip active, and it's the wildcard chip. So here's my wildcard team for game week 6. If you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. With that being said, let's get straight into the team. So with the wildcard being active then, that means wholesale changes, and both of my goalkeepers in Jose Sarr and Verbruggen have left the team this week. Good riddance to them, as they haven't kept a clean sheet for me at all this season. So I'll be hoping for a lot more clean sheets with this new pairing. I've got David Raya in goal and starting this week, and then Dubravka if I need him as a backup. Now, I'm not 100% expecting the clean sheet this week. I've got David Raya in my team, more for the future-proofing of the Arsenal fixtures. Once they get past this Newcastle away fixture, they've got some really nice fixtures. So maybe I can pick up some save points. You never know, we might get the clean sheet against Newcastle. It could be a bit of a surprise, and it'd be a nice little clean sheet that would be much welcomed in a team that is desperate for a goalkeeper clean sheet. Dubravka there if I need him, obviously. Then, one player that is staying in the team, who I've had for a while now, is Senesi. Do I need to explain any more with him? He's a DEFCON monster, and some decent fixtures coming up for Bournemouth and Senesi, with Leeds up next and then Fulham at home and Crystal Palace away. So there was no way I was going to be getting rid of Senesi, and it's almost got a little bit template, the defence. Centre-backs and DEFCON monsters are sort of the meal of the day, should we say. Not these attacking fullbacks. There isn't many attacking fullbacks that you would expect to get returns who are getting returns at the moment. So the consistency of DEFCON points is a lot more important. And with that being said, next up I've got Gabriel of Arsenal. Now, I don't love a double up in this fixture, so there's always potential for me to bring somebody in like Roden off the bench, but I will more than likely just take a punt and go with Gabriel, because that Arsenal defence is so good, and I'll just suck it up and take the double up against Newcastle away. But like I said, future proofing, Arsenal fixtures look really good, so I'm looking forward to having them as a double up in the next 5 game weeks or so. And then finally, I'm bringing in Virgil van Dijk as well. Now, I've seen this position, with it being very template, and a lot of wildcards looking the same, to be honest. I made this team earlier in the week, and I wanted to go a little bit different in certain areas, and Virgil van Dijk is one of them. We've got a lot of people going with the likes of maybe a Tottenham defender or Tarkowski as they chase more DEFCON points. Well, Virgil van Dijk can get DEFCON points himself, but I'm also banking on that Liverpool defence. The fixtures for Liverpool, they're not perfect, but they are a top team at the end of the day, and you've just got to have faith in a player like that and his attacking threat as well. You know, he can nick a goal from a corner along with Gabriel. So I'm trying to cover all bases with them. And then 2 players on the bench who are staying in the team from prior to my wildcard is Roden and Richards. Both pretty decent for DEFCON themselves. And Joe Rodon, certainly my choice of the £4 million defenders at the moment. I really like him. A lot of people I've seen with Goodmanson, seen less and less of Esteves, and with Reinildo as well, banned for 3 games. Rodon would be my pick of those cheap defenders. Moving on to the midfield. So there's been a little bit of deliberation when it comes to picking this midfield. Certainly in the first starting midfield slot anyway. I've got Phil Foden as it stands, and I really like him as he's really low owned. There might be a few people that start to bring him in on the wild card and take a punt on those future Man City fixtures with Burnley, Brentford away and Everton at home up next, which sound really tasty. It's looking like Phil Foden's starting to click, and we're starting to see that old Phil Foden back. His minutes, I also think, will look a little bit better than they normally do in a Pep Guardiola team because of the injuries. Marmoush, Ray and Cherky both out. So Phil Foden, his minutes will naturally only rise then. And then you also consider the Haaland potential injury. I don't think he is, and you'll see later. I've got him in this team. I think he will play, but they're sort of lacking in the striker area then, and that would only boost Foden's minutes as well. The only other option I would have in this area is Bruno Fernandes. He's not somebody I've ever liked to own in FPL just because of the way, certainly the last couple of seasons, the way Manchester United have played. I don't fully trust him, but just with the introduction of DEFCON points, and he does chip away at them quite nicely as well. He's somebody that's certainly come on my radar a little bit more on penalties, maybe not in the attacking role that he always used to be, but somebody I would consider as well. But at the moment, I'm sticking with Phil Foden. Then I'm also bringing in Reinders. He's been in and out of a lot of teams with his price fluctuating from between 5 and 5.7 million, but he's down to 5.6, and I'm bringing him in so I can triple up and target those Manchester City fixtures. And all you can really ask for him is something like he did against Arsenal last week, just, you know, a nice little assist, maybe a couple of bonus points, a clean sheet point on top of that, and, you know, you've got a nice healthy return there. So obviously my aim there, just target Burnley and the fixtures thereafter for Man City. Then next up, Iliman Ndiaye, somebody who's been ever present from the start for me. Certainly, like I've mentioned in a few of my videos this week already, certainly my pick of the Everton midfielders. Much better option, I think, than Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish obviously misses the City fixture in game week 8, but also Iliman Ndiaye is the goal scoring threat compared to Grealish, who has a very, very high threshold for assists. It's Iliman Ndiaye who's likely going to be on the end of those assists. And on top of that, the last 2 weeks, he's also hit DEFCON points. And for an attacking winger, that's a huge, huge bonus. So I'm willing to bet on that going forward. And then also a really nice fixture this week with West Ham at home. So I'm really excited for the potential and what he can bring in that fixture. Then finally, no surprises, in most people's teams ever since game week 2. I think a lot of people overlooked him in game week 1, but Antoine Semenyo, away at Leeds, nice little fixture. What more can we say about him? Chances fall his way. He's a little bit on the, what should we say? I don't want to say selfish side, but he gets a lot of shots. He takes a lot of shots, and that's all you want really. You know, law of averages, a good amount of them have to go in. So certainly as well, when you consider those fixtures coming up for Bournemouth, like I mentioned before, Leeds, Fulham and Crystal Palace, there's certainly games that Semenyo can shine in, and he is the focal point for that Bournemouth attack. Somebody I've also brought in, I've dropped Elliot Anderson from my bench. I brought in Caicedo. Elliot Anderson, he has a nice fixture at home to Sunderland this week, but things start to get a little bit more difficult for Nottingham Forest and their fixtures thereafter. Maybe that would feed into his DEFCON points quite nicely, but somebody who does hit DEFCON points just as regular in any game is Moises Caicedo. He's had 2 goal returns as well. I'm not expecting that to continue. That's not the reason I'm bringing him in, but if he can chip in with one of them alongside his DEFCON points every so often, then I think we're on to a winner. So I wanted to bring in a Chelsea player, as I'm sort of taking out Cucurella, and I wanted another representative from Chelsea in this team, as I feel he will have a solid season, and Caicedo so far has been instrumental in that. So at the moment, very happy to bring him in and have him as my 5th midfielder. Okay, up front then, and I'm bringing in Victor Gyökeres in the first slot. Mateta is leaving the team. Again, just targeting those Arsenal fixtures that are upcoming after Newcastle. Again, happy to start him. He certainly can get a goal against Newcastle. I think Arsenal are almost due a win at St James's Park. That's one way to look at it, or you can look at it as if Newcastle have Arsenal's number at home. I'm willing to back Victor Gyökeres. It'll be a nice little bonus if he scores in this fixture, but then you're looking at the fixtures after with West Ham at home, Fulham away, Palace at home and Burnley away. some real fixtures where Gyökeres will consider himself a real goal scoring threat, I'm sure. So looking forward to him in my team. After that then, Erling Haaland is no surprise with Salah leaving the team, and this is probably going to be one of the most common switch outs of game week 6, with Salah making way to raise the funds to bring in Erling Haaland at home to Burnley. And it's one of those moves that has so much hype about it that it's just building up to let people down. I can't help but feel that. And then Pep sprinkles in that little gem of informing people that Haaland's struggling with a little bit of a back issue. I think a lot of people have read into that and thought it's more than likely he is going to play. But it would make me think, if I was one of these people who could wildcard this week, obviously I can't, triple captain. Obviously with my wildcard active, I cannot triple captain. But if I was thinking about triple captaining this week, and I know a lot of people are, it would make me think twice. Unless we can get some solid information in the press conference tomorrow, on Friday, that Haaland will be available and will start. There's always going to be that little bit of a doubt, and do you want to risk putting in a triple captain, especially if you play Erling Haaland? You know, they go 2-3-0 up in the first half. Haaland doesn't get involved in those 2-3 goals, and then they take him off at half time to rest him, considering the game's done. It's just a little scenario I've thought and run through my head. I can't see a lot of people really reading too much into the injury, and I will more than likely, bar any dramatic news, be starting with him. But just makes me think about that triple captaincy, you know. I don't know if you're one of them. Let me know in the comments below if you are triple captaining. It'd be really interesting to know. And finally, like I finish a lot of these videos, it's João Pedro. He's not going anywhere again, ever present in the team. And Brighton at home, it's a former club, which could get very tasty for him. I think he'll be raring to go. I think Chelsea will be raring to bounce back after that freak game against Manchester United, going down to 10 men so early, taking off so many attackers and sort of hindering themselves in the second half, when Manchester United also went down to 10 men, and they didn't really have the players to then sort of punish Manchester United from there on out. João Pedro, very consistent this season. I back him to get back amongst the goals against his former club, I think. And a very nice player to finish off this wildcard team. So there's my wildcard team then. I'm trying to give you as much information as possible. Sort of the options that are flying through my head just before the deadline, just in case I make any last minute changes, just like the Foden to the Fernandes one, which is unlikely, but these are all thoughts that are running through my head. So if that video did help you out at all, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you're new and help grow the channel. It would be really appreciated. Otherwise, good luck in game week 6, and I will see you in the next video.